If you're watching this live, you will see the link to Project 2025 at the top. I don't trust that Project 2025, those people won't take it down after they realize what people are doing and that they're comparing the executive orders to Project 2025. Maybe they don't care at this point because it's already a done deal. He's elected. There's nothing that anybody can say that can, that'll make them go away at this point. We lost our chance to reject Project 2025 when we failed to, not elect Donald Trump and elect Vice President Harris to become our next president of the United States. But if you aren't watching live, this document is also on liberaldan.com. This document will also be pinned and posted to any video that we discuss these topics in. With that being said, let's start and discuss some of the executive orders that Donald Trump has already signed that match Project 2025 and what they've done. So, restoring freedom of speech and ending federal censorship. So you have this document here that's, has what the policy is. It has some fluff to it. We're not going to necessarily just read the whole thing. We kind of did that last show. But restoring freedom of speech and ending federal censorship. Here's some quotes from there. Under the guise of combating misinformation, disinformation, and malinformation, that's right here, the federal government infringed on the constitutionally protected speech rights of American citizens across the United States in a manner that advanced the government's preferred narrative about significant matters of public debate. Government censorship of speech is intolerable in a free society. First of all, them wanting to make sure that disinformation is not being spread, that foreign sources like Russia or China can't manipulate our electoral processes, is a actual real function of a responsible government. That being said, if you go to page 550 of the document that I have pinned, the words there say, this is especially true with respect to activities that the FBI and the U.S. government writ large claim are efforts to combat misinformation, disinformation, or malinformation. It is not any sort of surprise that they use those three words in combination, and that's the same three words that were used on here, except they replaced the or with an and. Maybe that's what the Facebook fact checkers would be like. Oh, they're exactly the same, and the Facebook fact checkers would be like, oh, well, the executive order says misinformation, disinformation, and malinformation, but Project 2025 says misinformation, disinformation, or malinformation, so it's completely different. Kind of like the Vanilla Ice argument that Under Pressure and Ice Ice Baby aren't the same thing, because Under Pressure goes da-na-na-na-na-na-na, da-na-na-na-na-na-na, and Ice Ice Baby goes da-na-na-na-na-na-na, da-na-na-na-na-na-na. As Vanilla Ice said, it's completely different. So maybe these people will think, oh, it's completely different too, and as such, they can get away with their BS fact-checking. But we know the truth. We know that these policies are absolutely connected, that Project 2025 is behind this particular thing. And we also know that their claims that this is a violation of free speech rights is a bunch of bunk. Your free speech rights are not violated because a social media company was urged on by the federal government to make sure that people know that certain things are misinformation or disinformation or whatever you want to call it. It's just how it is. Right? Anyway, so the next one that we're going to talk about is ending the weaponization of the federal government. So the words on here, on this one, include the prior administration and allies throughout the country engaged in an unprecedented third world weaponization of prosecutorial power to upend the democratic process. That's one of the sentences that is said here in ending the weaponization of the federal government. If you go to page 285 of the document that I've linked to, it says the department's unprecedented politicization and weaponization under Biden and Attorney General Merrick Garland, resulting in politically motivated and viewpoint-based persecutions of political enemies and indifference to the crimes of political allies that has made the department a threat to the republic. Again, unprecedented politicization and weaponization. The words are close. Are we not to believe that this executive order about ending the so-called weaponization of the federal government has nothing to do with that section of Project 2025? I don't believe that for a second, that they're different. You shouldn't either. Right? So let's continue on. Let's continue on to the next thing, which is, as I had open already, withdrawing the United States from the World Health Organization. According to this document, it says the United States noticed its withdrawal from the World Health Organization in 2020 due to the organization's mishandling of the COVID-19 pandemic that arose out of Wuhan, China, and other global health crises. Now, the mishandling of the COVID-19 pandemic was not because of the WHO. It was Donald J. Trump, president at the time, who mishandled the pandemic, who wanted to slow down or stop testing, because if you stop testing, you don't have as many cases, according to his dumbass mind, because that's not how it works. You still have the cases, you just don't know that they exist if you stop testing. Donald Trump mishandled it by not encouraging people to mask up and socially distance. He messed up and caused hundreds of thousands of Americans to die more than what should have because of his actions or failure to act with the pandemic. But anyway, still, that's what they said in the previous one. It says the United States notices withdrawal due to the organization's mishandling of the COVID-19 pandemic. Page 191 of Project 2025. When such institutions act against U.S. interests, the United States must be prepared to take appropriate steps in response, up to including withdrawal. The manifest failure and corruption of the World Health Organization during the COVID-19 pandemic is an example of the danger that international organizations pose to the U.S. and U.S. citizens and interests. So, sure, it's not verbatim, but again, Project 2025 called for us to remove ourselves from the WHO. Donald Trump is now removing us from the WHO. How many similarities do you need to not understand that Donald Trump and Project 2025 is Donald Trump's Agenda 47 and Project 2025 are one and the same? Just Agenda 47, for the most part, is kind of Project 2025 for dummies. There's one or two aspects here where there's actually more details on the executive order side as compared to what was found, or at least what I found so far, in the Project 2025 document. But typically, it's the other way around, and typically Donald Trump's plan is Project 2025 for dummies. So let's look at the next bit, shall we? I may just cut these into two bits as well. I'll probably just have the same ending and recycle the same ending and edit out like things like this. So, holding former government officials accountable for election interference and improper disclosure of sensitive governmental information. I mean, you're not supposed to put the entire body of the email in the subject line. So you shouldn't. I mean, we all know that he's overly wordy or whatever. But again, in the closing weeks of the 2020 presidential campaign, at least 51 former intelligence officers, and this is from here. This is from the executive order in and of itself, not Project 2025. So, in the closing weeks of the 2020 presidential campaign, at least 51 former intelligence officials coordinated with the Biden campaign to issue a letter discrediting the reporting that President Joseph R. Biden's son had abandoned his laptop at a computer repair business. Signatories of the letter falsely suggested that the news story was part of a Russian disinformation campaign. If you go to page 213 of Project 2025, it says Brennan's role in the letter signed by 51 former intelligence officials before the 2020 election is unclear, but in dismissing the Hunter Biden laptop as Russian disinformation, the CIA was discredited and the shocking extent of politicization among some former IC officials was revealed. clearly similar wording, similar arguments. But also in the executive order, it says, effective immediately, the Director of National Intelligence, in consultation with the Director of the Central Intelligence Agency, shall revoke any current or active clearances held by the following individuals. Then it goes ahead and lists all those individuals, and we went through that on the last show. If you then go back to the Project 2025 website, it says the DNI, that Director of National Intelligence, and CIA Director should use their authority under National Security Act of 1947 to expedite the clearance of personnel to meet mission needs and remove IC employees who have abused their positions of trust. Basically, again, they want to remove the people who they feel attacked him and defended, this idea of the laptop. There was no laptop. It was a thumb drive. And why the hell would Hunter Biden have gone from California to Delaware to go drop off a laptop? There's plenty of laptop repair places in California. And then why did he happen to pick the one with somebody with a visual impairment who couldn't actually see him and had to rely on hearing? Doesn't make no sense. However, they want you to believe that, to pay no attention to the man behind the curtain. But when you call a thumb drive a laptop, that's absurd. And then there's no way to confirm that the information on the thumb drive was 100% accurate and from whatever laptop that they feel was left at this repair person's shop. It's bizarre. These, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 examples of executive orders just from the first 24 hours of his presidency, at least from the first 24 hours once he started signing executive orders, all have clear links to Project 2025. So we all knew, if you listen to Liberal Dan Radio Talk from Left, That's Right, you know that there was a connection there. You knew it. We all knew it, despite his denials. But there's no denying it. And we will continue to go over these issues. We will continue to discuss these issues and compare and contrast what Project 2025 does versus what the Trump administration is doing, just to make sure that we have our eye on everything that they're doing. Because if we don't keep an eye on everything that they're doing, they're going to try and slip something by us, and that can't happen. We need to be all hands on deck. We need to be following each and everything that they do to make sure that we're prepared when it happens. So what do you think? Do you agree with my assertion and allegations that Project 2025 and Trump's agenda are the same thing? If you agree or disagree, leave your comments down below in the comment section. Remember to like the video, share it to your friends, and of course, unless you're a Nazi, have a good day.